So this is Mark B of Mark B's Perspective, and I'm coming at you with another reaction video. In this video, I will be reacting to a judge, or if I were to give it a title, I would say when judges break the law. What do they do? As we know, they give out a lot of time on a regular basis. So watch this video and see what happened when judges break the law.
In the George Layton Criminal Courthouse in Chicago, Illinois. Judge Joseph Claps strolls through the lobby, as he's done plenty of times over his 20-year career. Only today, he drops something on the floor. Normally, this wouldn't be a big deal, only the item that Claps drops on the floor is reportedly a loaded satin silver revolver. In Illinois, weapons, even if you're properly licensed, are prohibited inside courthouses, unless you're an officer on duty.
So let's take a look at this. It don't seem major, look real innocent, as we see the judge walking down the hall of the courtroom with a jacket, right? You see two administrators right there. What happened is the judge they walked by them, he dropped something. They clearly appeared to see what he dropped, right? Come to find out, he dropped a weapon, right? Which is illegal because, as they said, even if you're properly licensed, you cannot have a weapon in the courthouse unless you're an officer who is on duty. And clearly, he's not an officer on duty. He's a judge. I guess he regularly carries his weapon, and I understand it, right? Because they do give out a lot of time, and sometimes you got some crazy defendants that might want to run up on the judge, and I guess he want to be able to defend himself. But let's continue watching.
Only today, he drops something on the floor. Normally, this wouldn't be a big deal, only the item that Claps drops on the floor is reportedly a loaded satin silver revolver. In Illinois, weapons, even if you're properly licensed, are prohibited inside courthouses, unless you're an officer on duty. Notice how as Claps passes the security desk, he waves hello to a court security officer, and the revolver falls out of his jacket, which is folded over his arm. With people watching, he reaches down to pick it up, stumbles a bit, then casually puts the object in his pants pocket and walks away. When the judge arrives at the elevators, Claps puts the gun back under his coat and continues with his day. But two other deputies standing by the doors also took notice when Claps dropped his weapon. While they didn't take immediate action, they later report the incident to a lieutenant. Claps, who did have a valid firearm owner's ID card and a concealed carry license, is charged 3 days later with carrying a concealed weapon in a prohibited area, which is a Class B misdemeanor. The judge was placed on administrative duty and faced up to 6 months in jail and a $2,500 fine if convicted. But just 3 months later, and despite eyewitness testimony from the two deputies, he's acquitted of the charge. The court ruled the prosecution had failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the object Claps dropped was actually a firearm.
So there's a couple things to unpack in this particular situation. First, I want to ask about the first security officer that walked by him, looked down and appeared to see the weapon. Did they do the right thing? Because when she saw it, she turned her head and kept it moving. The other person next to her saw it and kind of walked further away as she was leaving. Did they do the right thing? They also showed the other two officers, two additional correctional officers at the door. They saw it from a distance. Though they didn't approach the judge at the time, they did report the incident, right? He was held accountable in a sense because he was relieved of his duties temporarily. So in this case, the judge was charged 3 days later, right, for a misdemeanor gun charge, right? When he went to court, as usual, as we all know, when he went to court, the case was thrown out because of lack of evidence. They stated that they could not prove whether it was a gun or what it was, whether it was an illegal weapon, even though they had it on camera. So, was he actually held accountable? Yes and no. He held accountable, but this is what people, most civilians would be upset with because they feel like it's two standards of laws. Now it clearly stated that no one can have a weapon in a courtroom unless you're an officer on duty. Even though you got the proper paperwork, because the judge did have the proper paperwork to have the weapon, right? It was licensed and registered and all of that, but he was not allowed to have it on the premises. If Share in the comments your thoughts. Would a regular civilian have gotten the same thing, the same opportunities because they saying they couldn't clearly see whether it was a weapon or not, right? Is it two laws, one for authorities, law enforcement, judges, right? Big wigs, and then one for the regular civilian. Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think this case would have been handled with a regular civilian, right? And remember that judges give out a lot of time on a regular basis. And in some of those cases, the defendant deserves the time that they get, right? According to the statutes and the sentence guidelines and all of that. But on the flip end, when judges are faced with some of the same crimes or offenses that regular civilians are faced with, they always, when it boils down to it, get a slap on the wrist. It seems like, especially judges, right? And you would think somebody that give a lot of time, and a lot of time they are not. They are merciless. They don't care about any excuses because they heard all the different excuses. This happened. I did it because I was struggling, or whatever the case may be, right? Judges give out a lot of time every day. Now, you got your rare judges that continue to give chance after chance after chance, right? But for the most part, judges usually, put the hammer down based on the guideline. They usually stay around the max in most instances. So share your thoughts in the comments section. How do you think a regular civilian with the same situation, if he would have dropped a weapon, and we know the security would have came on them immediately, right? In most cases, it wouldn't have been 2 or 3 days later like it was in this case. But this is just another example, man, of the two sets of laws, one for those in law enforcement or those who are in authority or those who got certain pull, right? Get usually end up getting a slap on the wrist for committing the same offenses that somebody who is a regular civilian. What's your thoughts on that? Share that in the comments section, right? Is it right? Is it fair? My suggestion is if we know that, knowing that, my suggestion is knowing that there are two sets of laws, right? And in most cases, we will get the hammer put on us. Try not to break the law, right? But that's neither here or there. We just pointing out is usually a difference when it comes to authorities who break some of the same laws that civilians break, but they end up getting no jail time. It end up may getting thrown out. Sometimes those cases are not even picked up. Listen, man, I want to thank y'all for watching this video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the support, for the likes, for the shares, for the comments. Thank you for the continued support. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I also hope that you found value in this video. If you found value in this video, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime I make a video. Listen, man, as we know they not playing fair in them courts, right? If you or I go in front of them judges, we probably will get hit with a harsher sentence than if it was a judge going in front of another judge. Thank y'all, man. Y'all be safe. Stay out them courtrooms. If you know best, stay out the courtrooms. But thank you, man. Until next time, y'all be safe out there. Peace.